What's up everybody, back today doing another Pokemon challenge video. Today I'm going to be taking on a Sabrina challenge at the request of one of my viewers. Remember, if there's a video that you want to see, make sure you comment below so I know what it is and I can give it a shot. So today I'm doing Sabrina. We're starting with an Abra, which means that I'm not going to have any attacks. And so you may be confused, how is this challenge even possible, right? Well, let's just say it was a bit of a struggle. So now, obviously, as I get into this first trainer battle here, I don't have an attack, and I'm going to get KO'd before I can possibly use up all of my teleports. So I'm just going to straight up lose the first battle, right? So I start with a loss, but it's only uphill from here. Now, that being said, it still sucks. It takes a long time to be able to do this challenge, and the way that it effectively works is that you have to use teleport, use all of the PP on teleport. And yes, I know I said PP, but I have to use teleport, spam that over and over and over again. Then that's when it gets interesting, right? Because that's the only time I can deal damage is with a struggle. But struggle also deals damage back to me, so I'd get knocked out if I was just beating myself up time and time again. And to make it worse, I have a lax nature, which isn't going to help whatsoever. So after you flee from enough encounters, you're going to end up with the ability to use Struggle. Now, this only works because you can attack Pokemon like Kakuna. So Kakuna is not able to do any damage to me. It is able to use Harden, but since it can't hurt me back, the only damage that I take is the 1 damage from Struggle. So because Kakuna is a 2nd level evolution, I'm actually going to get a huge amount of XP from doing this over and over again. So that means I'm not going to want to attack other Pokemon. Right there, I gain a full level just off of 1 Kakuna. But it's really hard for those Pokemon to come. It's not very frequent. So if I were to try and attack a Caterpie right now, it could probably knock me out if it used Tackle. So that's not really worth the risk for me, because if I heal, or if I get knocked out, I heal automatically at the Pokemon Center. And when I go to the Pokemon Center, I have to then waste all of the PP of Teleport again. So yes, it does suck. It can be done, but it's definitely a grind. So as I look through for as many Weedle and Kakuna as I can find, it's not easy. Of course, I'm going to find a Pikachu, find the least likely encounter in the entire woods. And you definitely want to run away from those Weedles, because if you get Poison Stung, it's all over for you. So you can only hunt for Metapod and Kakuna, and that's the only way that you can get experience. So this is going to take me roughly 3 hours of sped up emulator time in order for me to actually get to level 16 and evolve. Once Abra does evolve, though, the game becomes very, very simple. So when you get Kadabra, Kadabra learns Confusion. Now, Confusion does a ton of damage, especially because Kadabra is going to be level 16. So the gyms for me at this point aren't really going to be a challenge. The trainers are a joke, and I'm able to just waltz through everything. The first problem I'm going to run into is Misty, because even though I can do neutral damage to her Staryu and one-shot it, her Starmie is psychic. So it's any effect or any attack that I'm going to have is not going to be very effective. So Starmie is going to do a little bit too much damage to me and knock me out. So I am going to have to go, and I tried this right after I got through Mount Moon, so now I'm going to have to actually go and clear the entirety of the cape and try and go and get a second Pokemon. But, you know, that would be logical. Instead, we're going to run it back. And while we see me lose again, I do want to take a moment just to shout out the voice actress for Misty. And if you didn't hear the news, unfortunately, the voice actress who had played Misty and Jessie in the Pokemon anime, she has passed away at a pretty young age. So that's a tragedy. I actually just watched a video on Ape Escape 2 of all things, and I had no clue that she was one of the voices in Ape Escape 2 as well. So just rest in peace, and I think I'll be doing a Misty challenge sometime soon. And, you know, it's a real shame because I loved the Pokemon anime as a kid. And I guess it's kind of fitting that Misty is the one that gave me the toughest time in this. So with this, the next Pokemon that I'm able to catch is Drowsy. And as you can see, I've cleared a ton of this, so my level is really, really high on my Kadabra. And so I go into Vermilion City and I go ahead and I grab myself a Drowsy. The Insomnia is pretty cool. It's going to prevent sleep, which is going to be helpful against Agatha. And hopefully that gives me a second Pokemon here. So my goal was to use Psychic type only. So Hypno, which is not really as good as in Alakazam. It's a good secondary option, though. Now, I do have to catch a second Abra to trade for Mr. Mime, but before I do this, I did want to look at the nature. And if you watched one of my previous challenge videos, you would see that I was constantly questioning whether I traded away a good-natured Pokemon. And so I can't bear to bring myself to trade away this perfect-natured Abra. So that means we're back to a struggle. I do catch another Abra, so now I have 3. The original, the one that was only okay, and then the one I've just traded here for Mr. Mime. And if we take a look at Mr. Mime, he also has a timid nature. So this is actually pretty crazy. This is going to give a nice speed boost to my Pokemon. And the reason that's important is that one of the hardest challenges I'm going to face is Agatha's Gengar. If I can outspeed it, then the danger she poses is next to nothing. Doing a side-by-side comparison of the stats between the perfect Abra in terms of nature and Spoons, you can see that there's a pretty big difference in speed and the special attack stat as well. So even though the other Kadabra is a lower level, it has higher stats than the things that matter. So that speed and special attack are all that matters. So I'm going to have to stick with the new Abra. So admittedly, I did go a little bit overboard with the leveling because I kind of forgot that I had to go back and fight Misty. I thought I had already cleared that. So I've already cleared the SS Anne here and then went to go and use Cut and realized I couldn't because I didn't have the badge. So I'm with a Hypno here and I'm going to be able to walk through this Staryu. Now Hypno, because he has physical based attack, and because he doesn't just have psychic attacks, is going to be able to do at least neutral damage to both Staryu and Starmie, as well as put them to sleep. Unfortunately, the sleep doesn't last too long on the Starmie, but the headbutt and the extra levels is enough for me to claim Gym Badge number 2. So you would think that because I just forgot a gym that I wouldn't do it again, but I got a little bit ahead of myself. See, in order to complete my team, I really needed to make sure that I got a Jinx. And in order to get a Jinx, I have to get a little bit further ahead in the game. And so what I end up doing is I completely skip over Lieutenant Surge. I don't realize this until much later in the run, but I then go and fight Erica because Erica's Pokemon have the poison subtype, the exception of Tangela. And so Psychic is going to be super effective, which means this is an easy win for me. As I push forward, I'm looking for my Slowpoke, and I'm also looking for a Jinx. Now, in order to get the Slowpoke, I do need the Super Rod, which means that I need to clear through Pokemon Tower, clear through Team Rocket, and then get to the Fishing Guru's house. So I'm going to grind a whole bunch of the game and completely forget that I've forgotten another gym. In order to get Jinx, I need the Rod, not to catch a Gyarados, and not to catch a Jinx, frankly, but in order to catch this Poliwhirl. You're able to trade Poliwhirl for a Jinx if you go back to Cerulean City, and in addition, I'll also be able to catch a Slowpoke and evolve that to a Slowbro, and that'll help round out my team and give me just a little bit more versatility. So the reason that I end up grabbing a Jinx and a Slowpoke, because I'm going to turn into a Slowbro, is because Jinx has the Ice subtype, which is going to be super helpful for me in order to take out Lance's Dragons. And Slowpoke ends up being incredibly bulky as Slowbro, and he's going to serve as my de facto tank since none of my other options are particularly bulky. Now that I've really rounded out my team and gotten all of the pieces that I'll need to succeed, I decide to continue to forget that I haven't beaten Lance, and I go for Koga instead. After grinding on the path, the bicycle path that connects to Fuchsia City, I'm able to just bring in my Slowbro. So Slowbro going to be super good against these types. Poison types are weak to Psychic. And also, because Slowbro has so much bulk, he's able to gain some significant levels here. And even if they hit me with something, it's not going to do much damage. Now, the Toxic is the only thing that worries me because now it's a race. And with the smoke screen on top of it, I'm not going to be able to stay with Slowbro. So I'm going to switch Alakazam in. And of course, immediate smoke screen, but my Psychic is able to one-shot the Weezing. I was hoping to get a few more levels onto my Slowbro, but beggars can't be choosers. So to add insult to injury, not only did I forget to do the battle in order, I forgot to record the battle. But I had caught an Executor in the Safari Zone as I was going to get the HMs and whatnot. And then I used Executor to absolutely curb stomp, or egg stomp, through Lieutenant Surge. Because with the grass subtyping, he's not going to take very much damage at all from the electric attacks. So now I'm in with Sabrina. I am still sticking with Executor, and I actually kind of made a mistake here. So my goal was to use entirely Psychic types, and while these are all Psychic types, when I was going back through my notes, I had planned to use Executor for Erica. This is going to make my Erica run a little bit harder, and was honestly a mistake for me. I didn't need 6 Psychic types. This was just me being greedy and trying to use all of them in one video. So that's on me. And that just means I'm going to have to try a little bit harder in my future videos. But overall, I'm able to do pretty well here. And this gives me an idea, actually, in this battle, seeing how Sabrina, or the fake Sabrina, as I would like to think of it, uses her Mr. Mime. What I wish I had done was have Mr. Mime, use Mr. Mime to set up. Now, I use Mr. Mime as an attacker, but you can use Mr. Mime to barrier, reflect, and to put up a light screen, and then baton pass. So no attacks, but you could set up an absolutely monster shot from your Alakazam. Or instead of reflect for defense boost, you could use Calm Mind to boost that special attack as well. Now that we've secured 6 of the 8 badges, and 5 of them in this video, because again, I'm an idiot, I'm going to be able to sweep through Blaine pretty easily with Slowbro. One thing I thought was pretty impressive was that Slowbro did still outpace the Growlithe. It obviously doesn't outpace the Arcanine, but or the Ponyta Rapidash, but I thought it was kind of funny that my Pokemon known for being slow is able to outspeed a running dog. Interesting. But Slowbro with his Surf makes quick work, and even with a Fire Blast, Slowbro just eats it. He doesn't even know he was hit by fire. Doesn't impact him. That just leaves Giovanni left on my list of trainers to defeat before making my challenge. And honestly, this one was pretty straightforward in terms of, like, I have really good typing. We have ice, we have grass, we have water. And this is going to make this really easy, on top of, obviously, Psychic. A very easy setup here for Solar Beam by using Sunny Day and Solar Beam. Now, I'm not able to one-shot the Nidoqueen, which is a little bit of a shame, and she does get the Paralyze off. But I remember that, oh yeah, you know what's really good against Nidoqueen? Psychic attacks, because of the Poison subtype. Surf is also really good because of the Ground type. So Slowbro is going to be able to one-shot the Nidoking, whose defenses are a little bit worse than Nidoqueen in exchange for better attack. And even with a pretty big Earthquake, just Slowbro eats those. Remember, kids, if you're dumb enough, nothing can hurt you. You're invincible. Before we can make our run through the Elite Four and the Champion, we do have to take on our rival, and that's one thing I haven't been great about, is showing these rival videos so far, but to be honest, they were pretty straightforward. I lost the first battle, forgot to do the second encounter, and the rest of them were absolute stomps because my Kadabra was so disgustingly overleveled in the early game, I didn't have to really try. The one thing that's going to be a mistake here for me is that I use Sunny Day knowing that he has Charizard. Now that would boost Charizard's fire type attacks, so switching to Slowbro is my way of covering that. Even still, that Flamethrower hurts, and that's because the Sunlight's strong. Now I had set that Sunny Day up, in order to help my Executor, but all I really did was feed his Charizard. Now the sunlight does fade here. I don't know why I put Executor out. I guess I forgot what grass was. But the hope here is that I can put his Charizard down, but it outspeeds my Hypno twice because I made the mistake of putting the wrong Pokemon out. And Alakazam, always lucky, right? That speed boosted nature comes in clutch. I have to be able to outspeed, otherwise I am in trouble. So with the grass type Execute coming out, we switch over to Jinx, or in this case Zinx, and use that Ice Beam. Now, one thing that I didn't really have at the time was good coverage for the Gyarados. I realized my mistake pretty quickly, and that I would need to have a Thunder-based attack, which luckily I'm able to learn. But I was trying to use all of this stuff, the Fake Tears, the Attract, in order to really damage or like limit the Gyarados' effectiveness. But it turns out a neutral Ice Beam was enough to just one-shot him. After that special defense, obviously. Alakazam, same thing. Your Fake Tears is disgusting. Jinx is actually one of the most overpowered Pokemon, and this is kind of why I use this. I found myself, as much as I loved the Alakazam, I found myself really relying on Mr. Mime and Jinx to do a lot of the damage. And that's what I think is really cool about these mono-type challenges. You get to use Pokemon you've never used before. I've never used Jinx. I've never used Mr. Mime. Never would have considered them for my team because I just didn't really like them as Pokemon. Their designs weren't interesting to me. And this video doing this one showed me just how wrong I really was. If you've been watching my videos, you know that historically Lorelei and Bruno have been my biggest enemies. But with this, I got smart, right? Mr. Mime can learn Magical Leaf. And so because it's a grass type attack, I'm able to do damage, and somehow this is one of the only times I think I've ever been frozen in all the years that I played Pokemon. It happens like once every 18 times I play through a game of Pokemon. It just doesn't really happen. Probably because there aren't too many great ice types, and the chance of being frozen solid is pretty low, but it just kind of irritated me. So I put out Mr. Mime for the grass type, and then I decided, you know what? Enough games. I'm going to use Executor. Forgetting, of course, that Ice Beam would shred through my Executor. But my gamble here is that by using Mr. Mime to set up an ability to block some of the damage, I could survive long enough to set up a Sunny Day and just go straight into my Solar Beams. And my Solar Beams would be able to one-shot all their Pokemon. So if you don't know this interaction, if you use Sunny Day, you don't need a turn to charge up Solar Beam. So this is why I end up running this on my Executor, knowing that if I can survive one hit, then all I need to do is be able to use those. Now again, really stupid because Jinx is an Ice and Psychic type. I know this. I use Jinx. And instead of being intelligent, I decide, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice to see if that Solar Beam takes her out. The full restore means that my Executor did functionally nothing against Jinx. But a Surf at neutral damage does a decent amount. Lovely Kiss puts me to sleep. Full heal will take care of that. Or, and hear me out, there's nothing that they can do to me. So Attract is normally really irritating, but Slowbro's Oblivious passive stops it from taking or from falling or being immobilized by love. The number of times that I've lost to Lorelei is actually why I wanted to do Jinx specifically the way that she builds it. So you have Lovely Kiss, which sharply lowers the defense. Then you have Attract, which opposite gender Pokemon, they fall in love. And then you couple that with the which is it? Oh, the Fake Tears lowers the defense. Lovely Kiss puts them to sleep. So you do all those things to them, and it makes them pretty useless, and it makes Jinx super tanky. And so I have that set up, and then also with an Ice Beam. That should be able to, if I lower their special defense and then hit them with an Ice Beam, I should be able to one-shot even Lance's Dragonites, which, you know, that's 90% of the reason why you keep an Ice-type Pokemon. Lorelei goes down, a couple heals here and there, and I'm on to Bruno, who usually is pretty easy to deal with because he does have mostly ground types, and the occasional fighting type. So realizing that he's probably going to lead off with an Onyx, I'm going to put Mr. Mime in the front because I can use Grass to take out his Onyx. Also, Mr. Mime has boosted speed, so I shouldn't have to worry about being outsped. Just like that, one-shot the Onyx. Now, Mr. Mime can also one-shot Hitmonchan because of Psychic. Mr. Mime ends up being so useful because of his coverage. Like, Magical Leaf never misses, one, so that's super helpful. And two, because that grass coverage gives me all new opportunities. Yes, I could use water against the rock types and ground types, but that doesn't really help when Slowbro is so slow. So Mr. Mime being super fast, I almost even one-shot the Machamp. It takes two, but Mr. Mime's able to make an absolute joke out of Bruno. At this point, I'd like to remind you that if you're not aware of this fact, Mr. Mime is definitely Ash's dad, and if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Mr. Mime is 100% Ash's dad. You heard it here first. All right, Light Screen in order to avoid any damage from the Gengar. Psychic one-shots Gengar, and Mr. Mime's still able to outspeed. This is going to be key. So I'm able to outspeed the first Gengar, but the second Gengar, I believe, is either level 60 or 61. So it's key that I outspeed. This was the entire point of swapping out my Alakazams, was to make sure that this Gengar, I have a solution to it. Oh, I guess it's only 58. But even at 58, I'm able to one-shot. We're tied at levels, but my speed is faster. Mr. Mime just soloed 2 members of the Elite Four and was Ash's dad. Just want to throw that out there. A little ridiculous. That man's absolutely a stud. Just absurd. All doing this in mime makeup, mind you. This dude is dressed like a clown, and he's clowning on these fools. So we're at Lance, and that means that, of course, we're here for the final showdown. The reason we got the Jinx, right? We want to make sure that we're able to take care of it. And so we are going to equip the Shockwave to Alakazam, because the one thing that Jinx can't quite handle is going to be the Gyarados. And Gyarados is 4 times weak to electric. Shockwave isn't going to miss. While I could have taught Mr. Mime Thunderbolt, which would have been obviously a stronger move, I felt that it would have been better to have Alakazam using a Shockwave. We know it can't miss. I can raise the defense, and I'm not going to die to the Gyarados. And even if I don't one-shot, even if he used Hyper Beam, he wouldn't be able to kill me. So I'm not sure if I low-rolled there or what. It seems like I high-rolled, and I still left him at 1 HP. But 3 Shockwaves, and Gyarados is taken care of without my Alakazam dying, which is key. Aerodactyl as well. This would have been a smart idea for me to swap over to either a water or a ice type, but here I thought I have the Reflect up, so even if he gets off that Hyper Beam, I don't think I die, but it would have been closer than it probably should have. So we're going to bring Jinx out here just to be absolutely obnoxious, because this is what Jinx does best. We have the Fake Tears that lowers the special defense. We have... Oh, that's not good. So instead of setting up all this ridiculous stuff, I really should have just gone for the attack. The Fake Tears into the Ice Beam probably would have one-shot. And instead I kind of got cute with it, and now I have to use Slowbro. Funny enough, this is twice now that I've seen a freeze in one run. Because again, I haven't lost. This is the only time I haven't lost so far in the Elite Four in all of my runs. So far so good. But the Ice Beam from Slowbro does quite a bit of damage. Still not quite enough to take him out in one shot, but 2 shots will do it. Gets me up to level 57. And now we have Dragonair number 2. So Dragonite was supposed to be the hard thing that Jinx was going to drop, but Slowbro finished off both Dragonairs for me and defeated the champion. Or sorry, defeated Lance. Not quite the champion. So I still have to defeat my rival because, of course, he somehow beat me here. Now, in the past, I've said, okay, maybe that makes a little bit of sense because usually I lose during the Elite Four at some point during my run. So maybe he gets ahead of me. But I didn't lose this time. So I still want to know how it is that Gary got ahead of me. Where did he sneak ahead of me on Victory Road? I didn't see him. Wally makes more sense because he was at least at the end of Victory Road. If we go to Gen 3, where was Gary Yoke? Where was he? I want answers. I demand answers. So we start out with the Pidgeot, and of course Pidgeot's going to be weak to Ice Beam. That double damage is going to be more than enough to sweep the floor with him. Rhydon's going to come out, and this is going to give me an opportunity to make the same mistake I made before. I'm learning. So I didn't set up the Sunny Day because I didn't want him to immediately switch to Charizard and get that advantage with having the his fire attacks boosted by Sunny Day. So I correctly handled the situation this time. Shockwave still wasn't enough damage. I do think probably in retrospect Mr. Mime going with the Thunderbolt would have been better. Probably would have one-shot the Gyarados, but you live and you learn. Gyarados is still down. He just wastes the full revives. I'm going to swap out the Slowbro. Flamethrower is not going to do anything to me. Fire Blast even misses. It's just going to take 2 Surfs to completely get through Charizard. That Fire Blast, if that had been boosted by the Sun, it would have done some damage, but still not enough. But I avoided the mistake. I learned my lesson. Probably the only time that has ever happened in one of these videos. And I'm able to one-shot with the Ice Beam. We're left just now with Alakazam. So it's Alakazam versus Mr. Mime. Why? Because Mr. Mime is Ash's dad. You can't convince me otherwise. And if he's Ash's dad, then that means... Now we're going to swap out. We're going to go with the Baton Pass. I learned it. I thought, honestly, what I should have done here is built up Calm Mind and Baton Pass over to Alakazam. If I have any regret with this run, even though it was a fantastic run, super easy, one of my fastest runs, once you get through the hours and hours and hours of grinding in Abra in the woods, because my viewers hate me. Once we get through that, then this run became really simple. These Pokemon are super overpowered. Psychic is OP in Gen 1, or in this case, Gen 3? Gen 4? I think this is Gen 3. Yeah, Gen 3. So either way, able to clear through. I made the one mistake with the using the Execute, leaving me with one fewer option in the Erica run. And really, only regret I have here is not using Mr. Mime to really build up just these absolutely amazing and ridiculous Pokemon. Also, I didn't have to use my Hypno through the entire run, so I definitely did not need as many Pokemon as I got, but I enjoyed it anyway. I had a great time doing this. Thank you for the recommendation. If you want to see a video, drop that below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.